So for this week's self-defense, we're going to talk about a couple of things that are useful. We're going to do a bear hug from behind, and we'll do a few moves after that. Maybe we have a very special guest this week. We have our black belt student, Jacob Davidson, who's visiting us from the Marines. He's going to be our helper. So let's remember our rules of self-defense. First rule, always be aware. If you are not paying attention, let's say Jacob is a kid, and he's walking around. I'm a bad guy. He's not paying attention. He's maybe looking at his phone. And I can walk up and attack him very easily. I can grab him. I can hurt him very easily. So you have to pay attention. And remember, the second rule is keep your personal space. Keep your bubble. If Jacob is over here, if I get close and he lets me into his personal space, now I can very easily grab him or hurt him or punch him or something. But if I start to inch closer, and he moves away, keeps me out of his space, now it gets a lot more difficult. Now, I could jump or move and grab him, right? But if I do that, then that becomes very obvious. Other people may see it if there are other people around. It's much easier for you to dodge and get out of the way. Okay? And rule number 3, run to safety if you can. And remember my old joke, watch a scary movie and do exactly the opposite of what they do in the scary movies. Don't run to the old abandoned farmhouse. Don't run to the lonely alley. Don't run to the place with no lights. If it's dark out, run to a place with lights. I always try to run to a place with people. Run to a place that looks clean and safe. If you can run to a place with people, it's better to run to a place where the people are wearing uniforms, like a Walmart or a police station. So run to safety if you can. Now, our self-defense technique is bear hug from behind. So we're going to go real slow with this. We'll do it a bunch of different ways. So let's say Jacob is standing here. He's facing the camera. So I'm the bad guy. I come up from behind. I grab here. Now this is over the elbows, notice. That's really important. We'll talk about the variation in a little bit. So I grab here. Now the first thing he's going to do is go into his horse stance. And we'll put that in the video in a little bit. Then he's going to make his arms go down. You see this is kind of like an X block. And when he does that, his shoulders roll forward. So if you're looking at me, it's like this. That makes a gap right there. Now, he's going to take one arm up behind my hands, one in front, and then he's going to put his hands together. And then very quickly, in a forceful downward motion, he's going to separate his arms and push my grip apart. So go ahead and show that to us, just like that. Now, from there, is there something he could do? Yeah, he could attack. He could take one of his arms and throw the elbow back. Either way. Now, if you think that doesn't work, I have a scar right here that's where that came from. It worked really well, I promise you. He could also run away. He could attack us a couple different ways, and then he could get to safety. Okay? So now let's try that again. I'm going to go slow motion. I come up behind the bad guy. I grab. He goes down, arms come out, and break my grip, and then he's going to elbow strike, and then he could run to safety. Now, we'll try it from another angle so you see how this looks. And matter of fact, we'll do this as kind of a shadow drill. So he's going to stand there. I'm going to pretend to grab him from here. So now he's going to go through the move. So he will kind of push forward in his chest and go down to his horse stance. When he does that, I will go forward. Then when he pushes his arms down, that breaks my grip. Okay? So now, I actually grab him this time. Come here. I grab. It's down. See that? Arms come up and push. There you go. Now let's try it from the other angle. So we're here. This. Down and boom. There we go. So, when you first get grabbed, now, and you can see him doing it really well, when you first get grabbed, don't just stand there and try to do the move. Matter of fact, let's go through that, Jacob. So let's say you're doing it the wrong way. So this is the wrong way. Don't do it this way, but I'm going to show you how important it is for these first few movements. If I grab him and he doesn't lean forward, he doesn't go down to the horse stance, that makes the move really hard. See, so even if he brings his arms up to try to break my grip, it's difficult. He has a much harder time to do it. I can still get a much closer grip to his body. So make sure you go down into that horse stance. Okay, so now we're going to do it at real speed. So let's say, Jacob, why don't you stand facing that way? Yeah. So I'm going to come up. He's there minding his own business, but he should be aware. Really, I shouldn't be able to even get this close to him. But for whatever reason, he's not. And I come up, I'm going to grab, he's going to do the move at real speed. Hopefully he won't hurt me too bad. Okay. Just like that. Only difference would be is hopefully, especially younger people, run to safety. Now, there might be times when you may not want to run to safety. Maybe your grandmother is with you and you need to protect her. I would think very, very badly of myself if I abandoned my grandmother, just run away, be like, oh, sorry, Grandma, good luck. Don't do that. You may not have anywhere to run to. In that case, you may have to stay and defend yourself. But if you can, you need to go get out of that situation. Now, the variation on that is what if they get kind of high on your shoulders? Because you can see, we'll get that in a second. Because you can see from here, this is around close to his elbows. Now, if I get kind of high, there's lots of different things you can do on that, but it's not nearly as bad. This is kind of a bad position for the attacker. One thing you can do is take and put both your hands underneath their elbows, go down to your horse stance, and push up, and then sink under, and then twist your hips, and you're out. Okay? Another variation that you can do is something that Jacob was just showing me. So from here, if they grabbed here, show me the one you were talking about.
I was like, you talking about if they grabbed you underneath the arms.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought you was going to do.
So, underneath the arms, there's some really fun variations on that. So, underneath here, this is different. Now, really, you're not nearly as bad off if you're the one being attacked on this. Yeah, your hands are open. So just like Jacob did, you can elbow strike me to the head. That alone is quite a bit. You can grab my wrist, grab my fingers. Have you ever, maybe your uncle does milk the mouse, where you take the little pinky and kind of bend it back. You can do things like that. Yeah, that. You can do those things. The big one is, though, for simplicity's sake, throwing those elbow strikes, okay?
I'll kill it.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that. Now, we reviewed this a little bit, the last video we did last week, in the defense against the full Nelson. But you can use that same defense here. So let's say he's looking that way. As I come up and try to get my hands underneath him, he can lock his arms down, just like he's trying to squeeze the water balloons there. Just like that.
Gets it in.
Yeah. And right there, he's grabbing my fingers, pulling down to extend the wrist in a way it shouldn't extend. Okay? We'll show the Marine variation. Boot camp? Yeah. Now, there's a fun variation. Please be careful at home. Remember what Spider-Man says. With great power comes great responsibility. Please do not hurt anybody. Please practice carefully. Also remember the other thing that Spider-Man says. Oh no, Uncle Ben. So, they grab. Here, he comes up like that. And then of course, when you get the bad guy in that position, you can attack. Alright, so on this one. So on this one, I've caught him from the front, and whatever reason, maybe I've come over and I've grabbed him here, like under his neck. This could be, I could fall back, I could choke, whatever, right? So I'm facing him, he's facing me, got him here around the neck. So I'm pulling this in. What he's going to do is take his free arm and goes through. See that? Now, from there, he takes his other hand, grabs his own hand, and he's going to kind of put, let's turn this way, sort of. Yep. He's going to put this forearm across my grip here. And then he's going to drop and push that all down at once. Right? And now from there, look how open I am. You can very easily attack from there, grab the leg, elbow strike the groin, any of that stuff. Right? So again, I've got him here, pulling up, and that gets a little bit difficult there because if they squeeze real tight, they can get a kind of a tight grip. But you can still snake that arm in.
So let's do
Here.
here,
Right.
boom.
And then, see that?
I could have used that when I was 11 years old.
Couldn't we all?
So definitely couldn't do
Get out
that.
of here.
Just hit my shin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Instant.
Alright, so now another self-defense for young people is the clamps. This is if someone's coming up, a bad guy, and they're going to grab you. So what you do, these are our two helpers, our two young people here. Take your right hand, grab your own wrist on your left hand. Take your left hand, grab the other wrist. So it's like this. Okay? Now, if you're by yourself and doing this, you could put your clamps, your arms around something like a post or a street sign or anything you can grab. But if you're with a person, you'll do a clamp chain. So if I'm over here, I'm about to grab her, they do a clamp chain. Now, if I'm the bad guy, I have to pull both of them. Like that. Right? And also, there you go. Don't forget to yell as you're doing that. Yell stranger, or this is not my dad. Right? And if you keep that together, it's very strong. But also, it looks weird. If I'm a bad guy, I'm grabbing you, and strangers are walking by seeing you two are fighting me. They're like, well, that's weird. Maybe there's danger there. Right? But if you're calm and you're just kind of like trying to fight calmly, then that will not send up the signal that you need help. So if okay to scream, ask for help, tell people this is not someone you know, does things. I think that's enough of Alright, so now let's talk about our rules of self-defense. So within our school and our martial arts system, we have 3 rules of self-defense. First rule is always be aware. So that means always pay attention. Always pay attention to your surroundings. If you're walking somewhere, pay attention to where you're walking, what's in front of you, what's behind you. Not just what people are in front of you, which is important, but also what things are in front of you. If you avoid the people that make you feel scared, but then you walk into a hole and break your leg, then that really doesn't help. So you have to watch for things and for people that might be dangerous in front, around, and behind you. Also watch for places where dangerous people or things could be. You know, in a bunch of bushes, someone could be hiding to attack you, but also there could be a dog or a snake or something like that. So that's rule number 1, always be aware. Rule number 2 is always protect your bubble. Always keep your circle. And by that, what we mean is your circle, your personal space circle, is the length of your arms here. Now, don't walk around like this all day. People will think you're kind of weird. But get used to this distance. Don't let anyone that you don't trust into that circle, into that distance. Now, if we're going to do that with a partner, let me borrow my assistant again. So if she's standing there and I come over, I'm a stranger. Now I'm in her circle. I'm too close. But now she's being aware, she's being alert. If I walk over and try to grab, she can move away. She can move to where she stays out or keeps me out of her circle. If it's possible, she could always just move straight back. Right? And she could take her guard. In a situation where maybe you're walking down the street, let's say she starts over there, and let's pretend this is the street and she walks this way. Go ahead, start walking. I'm a bad guy. If I get in her circle, I could easily grab. So really what we should do is when she walks, go ahead, walk. She should walk away so that I stay out of her circle. Thank you. So that's rule number 2, protect your circle, your personal space. Rule number 3, run away if you can. It's okay to run away from a confrontation. It's okay to run away from an attack, but try to run to safety. Run to a safe place. Or my joke is always watch a scary movie and do the opposite of what those people do. Run to a place that has people, preferably people in uniforms. As if it's dark, make sure the place has lots of lights if it's not outside. And run to a place where you can contact someone or get help. So that's the 3 rules of self-defense. Always be aware, protect your circle, run if you can. Sometimes in self-defense, or maybe an attacker, a bad guy, comes up from behind the child and grabs the child and then lifts them up, maybe to carry them up. All right? So in this, what we're going to do is a technique called run in place. So basically, if you're looking at me from the side, it's like you're running in place, but you're going to move your feet faster, and as you do it, you're going to throw your legs up. Okay? So we're running in place. All right? Just like that. So if we do it with a young person, then that running actually becomes a bunch of kicks. So let me have my assistant over here. So she's going to stand with her back to me. So right back here. So I'm going to come up and grab, and when I lift, she runs in place. I let go, and she takes off running. That's run in place. Okay, kids self-defense, the first one we're going to do today is the grab the wrist. Now this one could happen sometimes. A bad guy, an attacker, could be walking up and they may come up next to a young person and grab one hand to one wrist. Okay? Since most people in the world are right-handed, we're going to do this as if the bad guy is right-handed. When we do this technique though, keep in mind that some of the self-defense techniques we'll use our basics, like the horse stance. And we'll be doing that in this. So when you do this technique, one thing you're going to have to do is make a chicken wing, or chicken fist, chicken hand, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to take all your fingers and your thumb and point them together in a point, and then bend your hand in as far as you can. All right? So when the bad guy grabs the wrist, you'll make your hand into that. Then from there, let's say I'm walking, someone grabs my right hand, I step back into a horse stance, put this hand here, and I drop my weight and pull down all at once. Okay? Now, I will have my assistants come over here and we'll do this together. So this is my assistant. So now let's imagine that I am a bad guy and I walk through and maybe she is not aware and I grab her wrist here. Now she's going to take her opposite hand or opposite leg as the hand that's being grabbed, step back into a horse stance, get deep, and then drop the weight and knock it down. Let's do it again. So take a real far back horse stance and drop it down. If you need to, you can take the other hand and push on their hand or their arm at the same time your hand drops down. Try that. No. And push and at the same time. Then, after you're free, turn and run away to safety. That's right, run away to safety. That goes with our 3 rules of self-defense. Now, push the button. And it's a really good, very simple self-defense. It is for a full Nelson. A full Nelson is when someone comes up from behind and their arms go underneath your armpit and then grab the back of your head like this. All right? It'll help if I show you. So let me get my assistant. So it's if someone comes up from behind here and then grabs, and then usually they'll push down. Okay. All right. Now the dangerous part about that is when they're pushing down, if your head goes like this, that could restrict your breathing, and also that puts pressure on your spine, your cervical vertebrae, and if that breaks, that's really, really bad for you. Okay. So, one of the ways to stop this is as soon as you feel their arms come through this area so that they can go underneath your arms and grab behind your head, as soon as you feel that, you take your arms and pretend that there's water balloons all through here. And you clamp your arms down as tight as you can and push your arms up to your body. Just be careful that you don't bring your arms up like this or in front of you. Just has to be right here along the sides. Okay? When you do that, their arms get or their hands get kind of stuck. And then when it gets stuck, that's your chance to run away. Don't just try to stay there and resist and fight or laugh at them. Use that chance to run away to safety. Okay? So I'm going to use my assistant again. So let's pretend that maybe she's not being aware, which is bad. Let's always be aware. I come up from behind. Now, as soon as she feels my hands go between her arms and her body, she's going to clamp those down. Ready? And run away. And she'll run to safety. It's okay if your hands get through a little bit. That's not going to hurt anything. And we have some more advanced techniques to help that or to deal with that if that does. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Stop. The ball. Forward view. Breathe in. Breathe out. Side view. and turns its head. Okay, so this is eagle push.